Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2024 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. So this is based on the 7th generation of the Mustang, which started production in May 2023. And this is designed to be a more track-focused vehicle over the GT version, which we already have in this game. Although it does share the same engine as that car, and it is broadly looking the same as well, but it's just been tweaked that ever so little bit extra just to make it that bit more track focused. So for instance, it's got slightly more in the way of horsepower, although no extra torque. It's got better brakes, improved cooling, altered aero to improve downforce and improve the efficiency of the car going through the air, and a thicker rear anti-roll bar to help deal with the extra weight that this has going on and its general weight in overall. Because this car was never a lightweight to start with, and it certainly isn't now, as it weighs 3,949 pounds, which is 100 or so pounds heavier than the GT version, no doubt because of all the extra bodywork, the thicker rear anti-roll bar, the bigger brakes and such. So yeah, all of those have added a little bit of extra weight, but like I said, this does have a modicum of extra horsepower to help hopefully make up for that. Interior wise, it's pretty much the same as the GT version, so you still got those fantastic Recaro seats, and yeah, everything else that the GT pretty much had on the go as well, outside of some extra bit of badging, which is on the interior and on the exterior. So as you can see, you've got your Dark Horse there, and then you've got your Dark Horse badge on the front fenders, and then you've also got your Dark Horse emblem on the back, and then you've also got Dark Horse on the in front of the passenger as well. So yeah, they're the main differences in terms of visuals, outside of the usual extra bits of splitters and such to improve the downforce at the front. Now you can't get that splitter on the UK version, unfortunately, and the UK version is significantly less powerful than this one, just like the GT version is as well. But as far as America goes, you get the full fat thing. So yeah, so it's still the 5-litre Coyote V8, but it now produces 500 horsepower, which is 14 horsepower more than the previous GT version. But like I said, it does have the same torque at 418 pounds-feet. So yeah, not particularly great in terms of any extra torque, but it is better at least in terms of horsepower. Would have liked a little bit more torque to make it a bit more meaty, to make it feel a bit more of a a special kind of car. But at the end of the day, you've still got more power and you've got the better handling to go along with that extra power. Plus, obviously, the extra handling also means that you got the power from the standard GT version, and you're able to use more of that power because the handling is also better. So yeah, overall a good looking car, and yeah, a good performer as well. But to see how good, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. Right, so here we are at the drag strip, so let's see what this car can do in a straight line before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll get it round where it's most likely going to be best at, the track. So yeah, pretty quick as you'd expect off the line, given it's got all of that power and torque. Granted, obviously it does weigh a fair bit, but it's hard to argue with 500 horsepower at the end of the day. And yeah, uses its power really rather nicely, especially with the gearbox that it's got going on. And yeah, nearly 132 miles an hour there, which is pretty solid. Can't remember how quick the GT version got up to until it hit the speed camera, but I'd be surprised if it was more than that, which is despite the fact that 0 to 100 this is actually slightly slower due to the extra weight. But 0 to 60 this is faster, and they do share the same top speed as well. So yeah, but the big difference with this is the fact that you can use all of that power more of the time, just because it's better to handle, it's better braking, better in terms of braking, and yeah, you just feel more confident due to those aspects to use that power more of the time. So yeah, we're high-end A-class, which is a little bit above where the standard the GT version is, as you can see here. So yeah, stats wise it's all fairly good, to be honest. The launch is the weakest part, and that's purely just because it's rear-wheel drive and it's got a fair decent amount of power. But yeah, speed, handling, acceleration and braking were all fairly solid. And if you compare it to the GT version from the same year, as you can see, handling is worse, braking is worse, launch is better just because it's got slightly less power to deal with off the line, but acceleration is also worse. Top speed, like I said, is the same, so that start you can ignore that 0.3 difference because they are the same at the end of the day in terms of top speed. So yeah, but overall I do like this car. It's not a massive difference in between this and the GT, so you know, and obviously at the end of the day you can upgrade the GT to be as good as this is in terms of power and braking and handling, but I do like the fact that as standard this is better than the GT is. So yeah, let's firstly to hear what this car sounds like and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, once again a fantastic sounding engine, just like the GT quite frankly, but maybe just that little bit better. And yeah, like I said, 0 to 60 is quicker with this version over the GT version. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 4.085 seconds, which isn't massively quicker than the GT, but it is quicker regardless. But like I said, 0 to 100 is slightly slower at 9.682 seconds. That's just purely because the additional weight does come into play a bit more there. But they do share the same top speed of 185 miles an hour. But despite this not really being much quicker in terms of acceleration, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day you can use the power here a lot more than you can with the GT version. Like I said, you can be a lot more confident with it. You can utilise the power, even if it didn't have the extra 14 horsepower, it would still at the end of the day be quicker around a track just because of the handling and the braking, which like I said means you can use that power more. Be more confident with it, you can be more confident, you know, braking later. Braking later alone saves a ton of time when going around a track, but then you add on to that the fact that you can become more confident coming out of the corner with the power, means that yeah, you're just going to be faster overall. So yeah, it's a nice enough car. It's not, like I said, massively different to the GT, but if you did like the GT then you're only ever going to really like this as well. I did like the GT, I think that was a really rather good car. It was a nice evolution over the 6th gen. And this is just basically tweaking that version of the car a little bit tighter in terms of handling and braking, a little bit more in the way of power, and just slightly changing the looks up a bit. So yeah, you can basically think of it as the Aston Martin DBS in the mid to late 2000s, which is basically a slightly tweaked and fettled version of the DB9, and this is a lot like that. So yeah, well worth getting in the festival players for only 20 points. Highly recommend getting it, and I'm really looking forward to driving this around in A-Class or above in online racing. But yeah, nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.